I knew something was wrong with the Airbnb the moment I unlocked the door, because it was already unlocked from the inside. I remember standing there on the porch, key still in my hand, just staring at the handle like I'd done something wrong. I was 3 hours into a solo drive through northern Oregon, deep in forest country, and the sun was already dipping behind the trees. The listing had said, "Private cabin, no neighbors for miles," which sounded perfect at the time. But that door, it didn't feel right. I pushed it open anyway. The place looked exactly like the photos. Small, clean, minimal. A couch, a wood stove, a narrow staircase leading up to a loft bedroom. There was even a faint smell of pine cleaner, like someone had just wiped everything down. Too recently. I checked the app. My booking had started that afternoon. No message from the host. No warning. I called out just in case. Nothing answered. No footsteps, no movement upstairs. Just silence. Heavy, complete silence. The kind that feels like it's pressing against your ears. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. That's when I noticed the shoes. A pair of muddy hiking boots sitting neatly by the wall. Not mine. They were positioned perfectly side by side, toes facing inward, like someone had just taken them off and intended to come back. I told myself the host must have stopped by earlier, maybe cleaning, maybe forgot them. Except the mud on them was still wet. I didn't like that. I grabbed my phone and opened the listing again. Same photos. Same description. Same host name, Daniel K. No reviews mentioning anything weird. In fact, everything was 5 stars. I sent him a message. "Hey, just arrived. Door was unlocked and there are boots here. Did you stop by?" No response. I walked further inside, trying to act normal, like I wasn't already considering leaving. My bag felt heavier than it should have. Every step sounded too loud. Then I noticed something else. On the kitchen table there was a mug, still warm. I didn't touch it right away. I just hovered my hand over it, feeling the heat rising off the ceramic. Someone had been here. Recently. Minutes ago, maybe. And they weren't answering. I turned toward the staircase. That's when I heard it. A single, soft creak from above. Not loud, not dramatic. Just enough to tell me the wood upstairs had shifted, under weight. I froze. "Hello?" I said again, louder this time. No answer. But the silence changed. It wasn't empty anymore. It felt occupied. I backed up slowly, keeping my eyes on the top of the stairs. My phone buzzed in my hand and I almost dropped it. A message from Daniel. "Hey, glad you made it. Everything should be ready for you." I stared at the screen. I typed back immediately. "Are you here right now?" The typing indicator appeared, stopped, then appeared again. "No," he replied. "Why would I be?" I looked back at the mug, the boots, the stairs. "I think someone's inside," I typed. This time there was no typing bubble, just a long pause. Then, "That's not possible." I didn't wait after that. I grabbed my bag and moved toward the door, trying not to make noise. Every step felt like it echoed too much, like I was announcing myself. I reached for the handle. Locked. I knew I hadn't locked it. I twisted it again, harder. Nothing. My chest tightened. I glanced back toward the stairs. Another creak. Closer this time. Like something had shifted at the top step. I forced myself to stay calm. Maybe the door was just sticking. Old cabin, warped wood. I unlocked it again, slowly turned the handle. It opened. I stepped outside into the cold air and didn't stop walking until I reached my car. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the keys twice before I could even unlock it. Once I got inside, I locked every door and just sat there, staring at the cabin. Nothing moved. No lights turned on. No shadow past the windows. Just that same stillness. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. You didn't go upstairs, did you? I frowned. No. Why? Another pause. Longer this time. Then, because the last guest said they heard someone walking up there too. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What do you mean, last guest? I asked. He checked out this morning, Daniel replied. Said he barely slept. Thought someone was in the loft all night. I looked back at the cabin. The mug had been warm. The boots had been wet. Did he leave anything behind? I typed. The response came faster this time. No. I swallowed. Then whose boots are those? There was no reply. Not for a full minute. Then 2. Then finally, what boots? I didn't answer. I just kept staring at the front door of the cabin. Because it had just opened. Slowly. Not all the way. Just enough for someone, or something, to stand behind it. Watching. And then my phone buzzed one last time. A new message. Not from Daniel. From an unknown number. You left the door open. I shouldn't have booked that Airbnb, because it didn't have a host. I didn't realize that at first. The listing looked normal. Clean photos, a simple cabin in western Montana surrounded by forest just starting to turn green for spring. It had reviews too, short ones, all recent. Quiet, exactly what I needed. Would stay again. No profile picture for the host though. Just a blank gray circle and a name. I figured it was a glitch. I arrived just before sunset. The drive-in was long, nothing but trees and a narrow gravel road that felt like it hadn't been used in years. No signal for the last 20 minutes. When I finally saw the cabin, it looked right. Exactly like the photos. That should have reassured me. It didn't. The front door was closed, but the key was already in the lock. Not in a lockbox, not hidden. Just there. I remember thinking, maybe they forgot. Maybe this place doesn't get many guests. Still, it felt staged. Too easy. I unlocked it and stepped inside. Same layout as the pictures. Small kitchen, narrow hallway, a single bedroom at the back. Everything looked clean. Not freshly cleaned, just untouched. Like no one had disturbed anything in a while. No smell of cleaning products. No warmth. Just still air. I set my bag down and pulled out my phone. No service. I opened the app anyway, hoping maybe Wi-Fi would connect automatically. It did. Full bars. But something was off. The network name was just a string of numbers, no password required. And the moment I connected, my phone buzzed. A notification from the Airbnb app. Welcome back. I frowned. Back? I checked my reservations. The cabin was there. Same dates, same details. But below it, there was another stay. Same cabin, same host name, different dates. Last month. I stared at it, trying to remember. I'd never been here before. I would remember this place. I closed the app and reopened it. The second booking was still there. Same confirmation number format, same layout. Like I had stayed here and forgotten. That didn't make sense. I walked through the cabin again, slower this time. The kind of slow where you start noticing small things you missed before. On the kitchen counter, there was a folded piece of paper. I hadn't seen it when I came in. It was placed too neatly, centered. I picked it up. It wasn't a note. It was a printed receipt from a gas station about 40 miles back on the highway. Timestamp, yesterday. Items, water, snacks, and a prepaid phone. I felt a tightness in my chest. I hadn't bought a phone. I checked my bag, my wallet, everything was where it should be. Except there was something in the front pocket I didn't recognize. A small box. I opened it. Inside was a cheap plastic phone, still powered off. I just stared at it for a second. Then I turned it on. No lock screen, no contacts, just one message. Already open. Don't trust the app. I felt a chill run through me. I looked back at my phone instinctively. The Airbnb app was still open. But now, it looked different. The second booking was gone. In its place, a message thread from the host, time-stamped from last month. From me. I didn't remember sending any of it. Is someone else here? Why are there things moving? I think I hear footsteps at night. And then, the last message. I'm leaving early. No reply from the host. Because there wasn't one. There never had been. I backed away from the counter, my heart starting to pound. That's when I heard it. A soft click from the bedroom. The door I hadn't opened yet. I stared down the hallway. It was slightly ajar now. I was sure it had been closed before, completely closed. The kind of closed you notice. Now there was a gap, just enough to see darkness inside. And something else. Movement. Not clear, not fast, just something shifting where nothing should be. I didn't breathe, didn't move. Then, slowly, the door creaked open a little more. No footsteps, no sound except the wood. And then it stopped, like it had opened just enough for me. My phone buzzed again. I flinched and looked down. The prepaid phone. A new message. Don't go in there. I swallowed hard. My eyes flicked back to the hallway. The door hadn't moved, but the darkness inside it felt closer, like it was leaning out, watching. I took a step back, then another. My hand found the front door behind me, still unlocked. I didn't take my eyes off that hallway as I opened it. The second I stepped outside, the air felt different, lighter, like pressure had been lifted. I didn't stop. I went straight to my car, locked it, started the engine. As the headlights came on, they lit up the front of the cabin, and for a split second, I saw someone standing in the doorway. Same height, same build, wearing my jacket. I blinked. It was gone.
I grabbed the prepaid phone again, my hands shaking. Another message had appeared, this time longer. I stayed the whole night last time.
Don't do that again. I stared at it, then slowly looked at my own reflection in the windshield. Something felt off. Not wrong, just delayed. Like my reflection wasn't perfectly matching me, just slightly behind. My phone buzzed one last time. Not the prepaid one, my real phone. A new notification from Airbnb. Thank you for your stay. I hadn't checked out. I hadn't even stayed. But when I opened the app, there it was. A completed booking. Dated tomorrow. The Airbnb listing showed a photo of me, taken before I arrived. I didn't notice it at first. It was just one of those quick scroll-through moments, checking the place while I was parked outside, engine still running. Small cabin in upstate New York, early spring, trees barely starting to come back to life. The photos all looked normal. Kitchen, bedroom, porch, the trail leading into the woods behind it. Then I saw the last image. A man standing on the porch, facing away from the camera. Same jacket I was wearing. Same backpack in his hand. Same dent on the right shoulder strap. I remember frowning, zooming in, telling myself it was just a coincidence. Generic gear, bad lighting, my brain trying to match patterns that weren't there. But the angle, it didn't make sense. The photo was taken from inside the cabin, looking out. I slowly looked up from my phone to the real porch in front of me. Empty. No one there. I checked the timestamp on the listing. Updated today. That didn't help. I got out of the car anyway. I should have left right then, but it's easy to explain things away when you're tired. 8-hour drive, no signal for miles. You want the place to be normal. So I walked up, unlocked the door using the code they sent, and stepped inside. The air felt used. Not dirty, not stale, just recently disturbed. Like someone had moved through the space not long ago and left everything exactly as it was. I closed the door behind me and immediately turned back to it. There was a second lock, a simple sliding bolt, already latched, on the inside. I stood there for a second, staring at it. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even noticed it when I came in. I slid it open slowly, the metal scraping louder than it should have. Then I turned around. The cabin looked the same as the photos. Exactly the same. Too exact. Same position of the chairs, same folded blanket on the couch, same mug on the table, handle turned at that precise angle. It didn't look staged. It looked frozen. I pulled my phone out again and opened the listing. Same images, same porch, same man, still facing away. I glanced toward the window behind me, the one that would match the angle of that photo. Curtains half open, just like in the picture. Something about that made my stomach tighten. I walked over and looked outside. The porch was still empty, but the ground, the dirt just beyond the steps, looked slightly disturbed, like someone had been standing there recently, or pacing. I stepped back from the window. That's when I noticed the camera. Mounted high in the corner of the living room, small, black, blinking. I hadn't seen it when I came in. It was angled directly at the door. At me. I felt a spike of irritation more than fear at first. This had to be illegal. At the very least, not disclosed. I opened the app again, scrolled through the listing details. No mention of cameras. No mention of anything. I went to message the host. There was no host profile. No name. Just a dash. Same as before. I typed anyway. There's a camera inside, not listed. What is this? Message failed. No connection. But the Wi-Fi was still active. Full bars. That same string of numbers. I turned off Wi-Fi. Immediately, my phone lost everything. No service, no app, nothing. I turned Wi-Fi back on. Everything came back, including a new photo in the listing. My chest tightened. I opened it. It was the same porch shot, same angle, but this time, the man was closer to the door. One step up. Still facing away. Same jacket. Same backpack. Same me. I felt my mouth go dry. I hadn't gone back outside. I hadn't stepped onto the porch again. I slowly turned toward the door. It was still closed. Still locked. The bolt still open. I backed away from it. My eyes flicked back to the camera in the corner. The red light blinked once. Twice. Then stayed solid. Like it had just started recording. I grabbed my bag. I didn't care anymore. I just wanted out. I reached the door, unlocked it, pulled it open, and stopped. The porch wasn't empty anymore. There were footprints. Fresh. Leading up the steps. Stopping right at the door. I looked down at my own shoes. Clean. I hadn't stepped out since I arrived. The footprints were slightly larger and deeper, like whoever made them had been standing there for a while, waiting. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did. Another new photo. Same angle, same porch. This time, the man was right in front of the door, hand raised, about to knock. I slowly lifted my eyes from the screen to the open doorway in front of me. There was no one there. But something felt wrong with the space. Like it wasn't empty. Just not fully visible. I stepped back and slammed the door shut, locking it again without thinking. My breathing was too loud now, too fast. I looked up at the camera. The red light was off again. Then my phone buzzed one last time. A notification. New photo uploaded. I didn't want to open it. I knew what it would show. But I did anyway. It wasn't the porch. It was inside the cabin. Taken from the corner, from the camera's perspective. Me, standing at the door, looking at my phone. And behind me, the door was open, and someone was standing there, facing in, wearing my jacket, holding my backpack, looking directly at the camera. I turned around so fast I almost slipped. The door was closed, locked, nothing behind me, nothing in the room, just silence. Heavy, complete silence. My phone buzzed again. No photo this time, just a message. Stop checking the pictures. I stared at it. Another message came through immediately after. You're not there yet. The Airbnb already had a review from me. Posted tomorrow. I saw it while I was still sitting in my car, parked at the end of a long dirt driveway somewhere in rural Pennsylvania. It was early spring, still cold enough that the trees hadn't fully filled in yet. The cabin ahead of me looked fine, normal, exactly like the listing. But the review section didn't. 5 stars. My name. A timestamp dated the next day. And the first line read, "If you're reading this before your stay is over, leave immediately." I remember staring at that sentence longer than anything else on the page. Not the date, not the fact that I hadn't written it. Just that line. Because it felt specific. Like it was written for a version of me that hadn't caught up yet. I checked the username again. Same profile picture, same account. No mistake. I clicked into the review. It wasn't long. Everything looks normal at first. It isn't. Don't ignore the small things. Don't trust the sounds. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep. My stomach dropped. I looked up at the cabin again. Still quiet. Still empty. No movement in the windows. No lights on inside. I should have left. That thought came and went like a reflex, quick, easy. But curiosity, it sticks. I grabbed my bag and stepped out of the car. The air was cold and still. No wind, no birds. Just that flat quiet that makes every small sound feel too loud. The front door had a keypad. I entered the code from the booking. It unlocked instantly. Inside, the cabin was exactly what I expected. Small living room, open kitchen, a hallway leading to a bedroom and a bathroom. Clean, simple, nothing out of place. Nothing obvious, at least. I closed the door behind me and stood there for a second, listening. Nothing. I set my bag down and pulled out my phone again. No signal. But the Wi-Fi connected automatically, same as always. That part didn't bother me anymore. What bothered me was the review. I opened the app again, still there. Same words, same warning. Don't fall asleep. I exhaled slowly and shook my head. People write weird stuff online all the time. Probably some kind of joke. Maybe someone hacked my account. There had to be an explanation. I walked into the kitchen. Everything was spotless. Too spotless. No dust, no crumbs, no signs anyone had been there recently. Except for one thing. A plate in the sink. Clean, but wet. Water still clinging to the surface. I touched it. Cold. Recently rinsed. I pulled my hand back slowly. Don't ignore the small things. The words from the review echoed in my head. I forced myself to move on. The bedroom door was slightly open. I pushed it wider. The bed was made perfectly. Tight corners, smooth sheets, no wrinkles. Except for one. A single crease across the middle. Like someone had been sitting there. Recently. I stepped back into the hallway. That's when I heard it. A soft sound from the living room. Like fabric shifting. I turned quickly. Nothing. The couch was exactly where it had been. The blanket folded the same way. But something felt off. I walked back in slowly, carefully. And then I saw it. The blanket. It wasn't folded the same way. One corner was slightly out of place. Barely noticeable, but enough. I felt my chest tighten. Don't trust the sounds. I grabbed my phone again instinctively, opened the app. The review had changed. Same rating, same date. But now there was an extra line at the bottom. It moves things when you're not looking. I froze. I hadn't refreshed it. I hadn't done anything. I slowly looked up from the screen. Every object in the room suddenly felt intentional, placed, watching. I backed toward the door, slow, careful. My hand found the handle, still locked. I unlocked it and stopped, because I heard something new. From the bedroom, a soft, rhythmic sound, like breathing. I didn't turn around. I didn't want to confirm it, but it was there. Slow, steady, too close. I opened the door and stepped outside, pulling it shut behind me without looking back. I didn't stop moving until I reached my car, locked it, started the engine. My hands were shaking again. I looked at the cabin through the windshield. Everything looked still, normal, like nothing had happened. My phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it, but I did. The review. It had updated again. Now it read, "I tried to leave before it noticed me." My throat went dry. Another line appeared. "It's easier if you don't make it curious." I looked back at the cabin, at the front door, still closed, still quiet. And then it opened, slowly, just a crack, enough to see darkness inside. Nothing else. My phone buzzed again. Final update. I fell asleep. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Because I hadn't. I was wide awake. Sitting in my car, engine running, keys in the ignition, ready to leave. But when I looked down, my hands weren't on the steering wheel. They were resting in my lap, like I'd been sitting there for a long time, doing nothing. And the engine was off.